give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Atlanta Braves in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Braves, right-hander J.R. Ritchie, and for the Padres, an opener, left-hander Wandy Peralta. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, as always, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with Braves outfielder and former San Francisco Giant Mike Yastrzemski. We check in with the Padres radio booth in just a little bit, our keys to today's game, and much, much more. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 40-37. Padres entering the day in a 3-way tie with the Cubs and Nationals for the National League's final wild card spot. Braves, meanwhile, enter 48-29. They've had a great year so far. However, they have dropped 8 of their last 11 games. Even with that, Atlanta's lead is still 6.5 games in the National League East. Today, Wandy Peralta will open the game for the second time in the last few days. Third time he's done it in the last 8 days. Griffin Canning, the right-hander, is expected to get bulk innings today for the Padres, and a very young right-hander on the mound for Atlanta today in J.R. Ritchie. We'll talk plenty more about the pitching situation for both these teams today coming up in a little while. Padres started the 6-game homestand last night. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
The Padres' Michael King against the Braves' Grant Holmes, our pitching matchup last night. We still had a scoreless game in the 4th inning. King got a little help in center from Jackson Merrill.
1-0 in the air to very deep right center field. Long run, Merrill. All the way back, onto the track, leaps up, makes the catch, and comes down right in front of the wall. Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill. Going back to make a play and take it away. Extra bases from Michael Harris II.
We still had a 0-0 game going to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Manny Machado led off.
1-2, hit in the air, deep to left center field. Harris is racing back at the wall, looking up, gonna go! Line drive, home run into the bullpen, and Manny Machado does it again. His 14th of the year is a lead shot here at the bottom of the 4th inning, and the Padres have struck. It's 1-0.
Machado's second home run in the last 3 days. King just kept on cruising. He worked around a 1-out single in the 5th. He worked around a 1-out single, stranded a man in scoring position in the 6th inning. Padres still led just 1-0 in the 7th. King allowed a leadoff single to Austin Riley. King would get the next 2 hitters. Then he faced Jorge Mateo.
Riley leading at first base. 2-2. The pitch to Mateo. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Got him with a changeup as Mateo went down to a knee and whipped. Michael King, 7 shutout innings.
King done after 7. He was tremendous. No runs, 6 hits, no walks, 5 Ks, 93 pitches. Padres still led 1-0 going to the 8th inning. Adrian Morejon took on the very top of the Braves lineup. He retired the side in order. Mason Miller came on for the 9th inning. Padres still leading 1-0. Braves put the tying and go-ahead runs on base.
All with a 1-run lead. Here's another 0-2. Yastrzemski takes strike 3 called. Slider perfectly breaks over the heart of the plate. Yastrzemski will challenge. He will lose that challenge, and the ball game will be over. Mason Miller comes on and does the job. His 21st save of the year. And for the 3rd time this season, the Padres, a 1-0 win.
And that was that last night. 3rd time this season, the Padres have won a ball game 1-0. Their 7th shutout win of the year, and the Padres start this pretty difficult homestand against the Braves and the Dodgers with a 1-0 win in yesterday's series opener. And now we turn the page to the middle game of this 3-game series coming up at 6:40. Let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, let's quickly reflect on last night. Manny Machado, the big swing, the home run in the 4th inning. That would be all the Padres needed last night. Manny's been really good the last few games. It seems like things are starting to trend upwards for him. Your thoughts on Manny Machado, what he continues to do?
He is. He can still be that guy. I think what's the old line? The reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. It kind of feels like that's a little bit the Manny Machado story right now. Look, Craig Stammen has been telling anybody who asked for the last several weeks that he is not concerned about Manny Machado. He is not going to move Manny Machado down in the lineup. It seemed like he was getting that question with some regularity in the last few weeks. And this is exactly why. He's just not a guy that you do that to, not at this point in his career. And look, will there come a point at age 37 or something like that where you have those conversations? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But you're just not there yet with Manny Machado. You're not even close to being there yet with Manny Machado. He is an impact bat. He is on a Hall of Fame track. And he is, despite the struggles, and I'm not saying there haven't been struggles. I'm not saying things have been perfect. But despite all of that, he is still in his prime. And this is a guy that can impact the game in any number of ways. We see the special things he does defensively. And what you saw last night is something he is still very capable of doing, even with the batting average issues that he's had this year. This is a guy who's got more home runs, more RBIs than anybody on this team. And that's why you stick him in the middle of the lineup. And that's why you pay him the big bucks. And he's a very special player. One of those things that, you watch a guy like that night in and night out for the last, 7 years now. Is it 8 years now? It becomes a little easy to take it for granted. And like the weather here in San Diego, you don't ever want to take that stuff for granted because you start to lose perspective when you do that. And I think, we're getting a little bit of a reminder now of like, oh, yeah, that's pretty special to have a guy that can do stuff like that. And Manny Machado went out and won you a ball game last night. That was a big deal, a big swing. And really, the second time in 3 days that he won a game with a big swing. Had the 3-run homer in the 10th inning on Saturday in Texas as well. So definitely trending in the right direction. And the really good news, I don't think he's alone in terms of the offense for the Padres, trending in the right direction. And, this team is kind of threatening to maybe break out a little bit offensively right now.
Padres will once again use an opener today. Left-hander Wandy Peralta will start the game. Griffin Canning is slated to get bulk innings today, Jesse. It feels like the Padres continue to use this strategy with some frequency. It's worked pretty nicely in this combination, Peralta followed by Canning. It worked just in that win in St. Louis a handful of days ago, and I suppose if it's working, why mess with it? And we'll see if they can do it again here today with using Peralta as the opener.
Yeah, I feel like you and I had a conversation. It was probably the day after they did it in St. Louis. I think it was the Wednesday afternoon game where it worked nicely for them. And, the conversation was, hey, we liked the way it went. We got to see more of it. It's one of those things where certainly it was a positive, and certainly it looked like it worked. And now you gotta do it a couple of more times, right? And you got to see if there's something to it. It sure looks like there's something to it. And the whole opener bulk thing, working, it is in some ways, it really doesn't necessarily make sense, when you step back and you look at it holistically. But, there are times and there are guys where it does just work. And if this is going to be one of those cases, you absolutely do stick with it. So, the experiment kind of continues here. I like it a lot. For whatever reason, if that's going to be a thing for Griffin Canning that allows him to feel a little bit more comfortable, allows him to go out there and just kind of have a little bit more success, then no reason to mess with it at all. And you certainly liked the way it looked on Wednesday afternoon in St. Louis. You also liked the fact that the Padres were able to get him, a run before he ever took the mound, that they were able to add on a little bit here and a little bit there. They blew that game wide open late in the 9th inning. But, there's no question that if it's something that works, you're going to stick with it. I don't think anybody down there is too proud, to say, oh, well, we don't want to do it this way because it's not, the way you're supposed to do it or anything like that. I think we're past that, in terms of the sport right now. And, if it works, you do it. And it worked the first time, so we do it again here today. And even if it doesn't work today, by the way, I would expect to see it again the next time it rolls around this spot in the rotation, because I do think you're going to need more of a sample size to really get a sense of if it's something you want to do long term.
Jesse, before I let you go, just a quick thought about the Braves. This is a really, really good team. The record is what it is, but it does feel like maybe the Padres are catching them at the right time because their offense is struggling. We saw that yesterday. They're banged up, and, hey, that's part of baseball. Sometimes you can catch a team at the right time, depending on when you play.
Cliche number 16 in the broadcaster's handbook, right? It's not who you play, but when you play them. Yeah, man. I mean, this team looked like they were going to run away with everything, and they've still got a very nice lead in the division. Certainly, they've got a great record, 48-29, but they've lost 8 of 11. As you said, they're very banged up right now. Kind of like the Padres, they got, a handful of guys in their starting lineup right now that they probably were not, leaning on or expecting to lean on, at this point in the season. But that is how it goes over the course of 162 most of the time. Very few teams get out of the thing unscathed and don't have to dip down either into AAA or into other organizations to fill spots in the lineup. And, sometimes it works out nicely. Oftentimes it can be a little bit of a struggle. And right now the Braves are struggling a little bit. You're also missing Chris Sale, in terms of the rotation in this series. Strider is hurt. It does kind of go nicely for the Padres. But look, you won a 1-0 game yesterday. You see how it goes here today and tomorrow night as well. And hopefully the Padres are able to take advantage of this. And, we'll see how it goes in these next two.
All right, Jesse, good stuff as always. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 6:30. As always, thanks so much.
You got it, Sammy.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch is coming up at 6:40, game 2 of this 3-game set here on a beautiful evening at Petco Park. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We'll also take our first look at the Padres lineup here today. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with former Giant and current Brave in the lineup today. Once again, that is Braves outfielder Mike Yastrzemski. Our keys to today's game, Craig Stammen will have plenty of injury updates for you as well. Much, much more to do as we get ready for this one here at Petco Park. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network. Gorgeous night here at Petco Park as we get ready for game 2 of this 3-game series. Padres taking on the Atlanta Braves as the Padres try to make it 2 wins in a row against the Braves as they play game 2 of this 6-game homestand. 2 more against Atlanta, day off Thursday. And then the LA Dodgers come to town beginning on Friday for a 3-game series. Before we hear from Craig Stammen, let's do a couple of items here. First, a look at the Padres lineup today looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Samad Taylor in left field batting second. Jackson Merrill in center batting third. Manny Machado at third base batting cleanup. Gavin Sheets at first base batting fifth. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting sixth. Will Wagner, the DH, batting seventh. Rodolfo Duran is doing the catching and batting eighth. And Sung Moon Song is at second base batting ninth with, again, left-hander Wandy Peralta opening up today's game, and Griffin Canning, the right-hander, expected to get bulk innings. Padres did make a move earlier today. They put right-hander Lucas Giolito on the 15-day IL with what they're calling right elbow inflammation. The corresponding move was recalling left-hander J.P. Sears from AAA El Paso. So what is the plan for Sears now that he's on the active roster? Let's hear more about that from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
He's won Peralta in a number of different roles this year, including as an opener, and you'll be doing that today. What have you liked about him in that role?
I like that he enjoys it. I think he gets a smile on his face when we tell him that he's going to be the opener, and I think he's embraced that. A lot of other relievers, maybe have trouble, I'm doing something much different than what my role is, but he's embraced it, and he's done really well in that role.
He's having a really good season, one of his best so far to this point. What would you attribute to his success?
I think, he's just been sticking with it here of late. Early on, it was a little rocky, and then he's just kind of turned it on here this last month and a half, and he's just a valuable piece in our bullpen of being able to pitch in any different situation and kind of handle a lot of innings that kind of go unnoticed, but he's done really well in them.
Giolito to the IL today. What went into the decision to place him on the IL?
Yeah, he came out his last start feeling a little bit of elbow stuff, similar to probably what he felt last year. What was the beginning of him having to shut down for the season, and he just alerted the trainers right away and said, hey, this is what it felt like when we first, when this started happening. And then 3 starts later, I was kind of done for the year. So just wanted to get out ahead of it and, get him right and, get him back, pitching the way Lucas Giolito should pitch.
What is the latest on Freddie Fermin and where he's at in his recovery?
Yeah, Freddie's still concussion protocol, trying to, finalize those last few steps to get him back out here on the field. So nothing's really changed. We're just kind of battle against time, I guess.
What about Luis Campusano? I know a lot of injury updates, so you have to go through them, but Luis Campusano?
Yeah, Campy's out in Arizona. He's swinging. He's doing a lot of almost everything except for playing a game. So should be playing in games here in the next week or so.
Ramon Marquez, where's he at in his recovery?
Yeah, he's doing really well in El Paso, set to make another rehab start. We like what we've seen so far. He's just building back up so we can bring him back here.
Jeremiah Estrada?
Yeah, Estrada was here yesterday, saw the docs. Nothing much has changed with his knee. He's going back to Arizona, start ramping up activity. Hopefully it goes well, and, we get him back soon too.
Craig, J.P. Sears was the move to replace Giolito. What's the plan for J.P.?
Yeah, J.P. is going to start the game tomorrow, so excited to get him here today and then be able to put him out there tomorrow, see what he's got.
What is that due to Randy Vasquez, who I guess would have been in Lions pitch tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to push Randy back. It'll be 2 days because of the day off, so he'll start, the first game against the Dodgers and then kind of set up our rotation from there.
What's your thoughts on the cascading injuries of your starting pitchers this year?
The cascading injuries. I think one is we've got guys that are a little older, guys that have had injury history, and we're trying to be overly cautious with keeping them healthy throughout the entire season instead of trying to run them in the ground and then, throw them to the scrap heap. So I think we're trying to put their best interest in mind, not only for themselves personally, but also for the team so that we get the best version of all of them.
And so you guys have had to do a lot of patchwork to basically get people in the rotation periodically to replace all these guys.
Yeah, and we have a lot of guys. So, that was kind of the design of it from the beginning, is that we had, maybe not necessarily top of the line number one ace pitchers, but we had a lot of guys that we felt were good enough to handle a lot of quality starts in the big leagues. and, how we wanted to make sure that they were 100% when they're out there pitching. And I think that's our number one goal, is getting the best version of themselves and them not having to pitch at like 75, 80%.
Yeah, I think you have to have 8 or 9 or 10 starters these days, right?
Yeah, it's a different ball game than what it used to be, and depth is a big advantage.
Is there an indication on the severity of Giolito? We caught it early. Is that?
Yeah, I think we caught it early, so I don't think it's like super severe. Just got some inflammation in there, just a little irritated. I'll probably be down from throwing for a couple of days and then get back at it.
Nick and Joe doing long toss today. Where are they in their respective progressions, and kind of how do you view what they will bring eventually in the context of the kind of injuries that you've had now, and how you?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a long way to go. Long tossing is certainly a good sign. It's a great sign. To be able to do that, you're putting stress on your arm. But they've got a lot of progression to go. They got to throw multiple bullpens, live BPs, pitching games, get built up to 100 pitches. So we've got a while yet for them, but, so far so good. It is a sight for sore eyes seeing those guys out there playing catch, long tossing, feeling pain-free and getting after it.
Do you think that the inflammation impacted Giolito to this point, or is that something that came afterwards?
Definitely could have, probably, especially in the last outing. Maybe you never know when a pitcher really says like, hey, this has been bothering me. We all want to be tough enough to manage and pitch through a lot of stuff. We've all pitched through a bunch of stuff in our careers. I'm sure Lucas has a ton. It's probably what he was trying to do last year, and then it bit him in the, backside, and he had to miss the playoffs and miss the season. So just trying to stay out ahead of it. I think it's a smart thing to do in today's game. It's a little bit different. We've got modern medicine that can get these guys back a lot quicker than in the past.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig in our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. You got a lot of injury updates there from Craig as well, so we'll continue to pass along those injury updates as we get them. Let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres Radio Network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Fred Fermin from the San Diego Padres. You are listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres take on the Atlanta Braves in Game 2 of this 3-game set. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Fernando Tatis Jr. in the midst of a 16-game on-base streak. He's batting .333 in that span. Manny Machado also in the hot category. He's 5 for 11 in his last 3 games with 2 doubles, 2 home runs, and 6 RBIs in those 3. And the not category, we take a look at Rodolfo Duran, who's back behind the plate today, batting 8th for San Diego. Just 1 for his last 21. Duran so far just 7 for 55 in the big leagues. And that is a quick look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game set. Now let's give you some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Take a look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. The Royals starting pitcher, left-hander Cole Reagans, is expected to undergo surgery to fix an elbow impingement that has sidelined him since early May. Twins general manager Jeremy Zoll flatly said earlier today that the club has no interest in trading its signature player Byron Buxton after rumors swirled recently regarding his potential availability on the trade market. Zoll saying, quote, "We have no plans to trade Byron. It's not something we're exploring. It's not something we plan to explore." The Reds have activated Ellie De La Cruz. He's back in their lineup today against the Brewers after the star shortstop spent 3 weeks on the IL with a right hamstring strain. A couple of other notes for you. Going on today in Arizona, in Phoenix at Chase Field, the 6th annual Major League Draft Combine. More than 300 MLB draft prospects are attending, including 192 of MLB Pipeline's top 200 draft prospects. And that's a look at what's going on around the major leagues. Oh, one other note for you. The White Sox, they're hosting the Guardians today. They have won 21 of their last 25 games in Chicago at home. They've been really, really good. Will Venable doing a really great job in Chicago. And so the White Sox entered today, I think it was tied for first place in the American League Central. Let me check on that. Yeah, tied with the Guardians for first place in the American League Central. So White Sox, a really, really good story here during this early part of the regular season. When we come back, I go one-on-one with former Giant outfielder and current Brave outfielder Mike Yastrzemski. We talk about his career. We talk about being, of course, the grandson of the great Carl Yastrzemski. Plus, we have our keys to today's game, full breakdown of today's pitching matchup, and much, much more. First pitch coming up at 6:40 right here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. We'll hear from Braves outfielder, tonight's starting right fielder for Atlanta. That is Mike Yastrzemski. We'll hear from him in just a little bit. Really good conversation with Yastrzemski coming up in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's give you the latest on the injuries for both the Braves and the Pods.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
Well, you heard a little bit earlier the updates on guys like German Marquez and Jay Cronenworth and Luis Campusano and Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove. There wasn't a ton of really big updates there. Camposano, Cronenworth, they're continuing to work their way back, doing baseball activity in Arizona. We know about German Marquez being on the rehab assignment, so those guys are progressing. But we did have a couple of moves the Padres made today. One of them, Lucas Giolito, put on the IL with right elbow inflammation. JP Sears recalled from AAA El Paso, and Sears, as Craig Stammen said earlier, will start tomorrow's game. It'll be Randy Vasquez on Friday against the Dodgers. Walker Buehler now pushed to Saturday. Padres did, though, make another move around 5 p.m. They reinstated Freddie Fermin from the 7-day concussion IL. They optioned Blake Hunt back to AAA El Paso. So some good news there. Fermin is back. Hunt is going back down to AAA. But for today's game, it will be Rodolfo Duran doing the catching and batting eighth. But Freddie will be available off the bench. So not too long of a stay on the concussion IL for Freddie Fermin. As far as the injuries for the Braves, we talked about it a lot yesterday. They're dealing with some really significant injuries right now. They've got Spencer Strider on the IL dealing with right elbow inflammation. They've got Ronald Acuna Jr. on the IL right now dealing with a left hamstring strain. Sean Murphy on the IL with a fractured finger. Some other pretty significant guys on there as well. So this is not a fully healthy Brave team. It's also not a fully healthy Padre team either. And that's a quick look at our injury report on this Tuesday. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have one final already today. Astros beat the Blue Jays 9-7 in Toronto in 11 innings. Game's going on right now. Royals ahead of the Rays 12-5 in Tampa Bay in the ninth. The Yankees lead the Tigers 4-3 in Detroit in the eighth inning. Mariners lead the Pirates 3-2 in the ninth inning in Pittsburgh. Marlins lead the Rangers 6-2 in Miami in the eighth. The Nationals lead the Phillies 8-6 in D.C. in the ninth inning. Cubs ahead of the Mets 7-2 in New York in the fifth. Brewers 1, Reds nothing in Cincinnati in the eighth inning. White Sox lead the Guardians 2-1 in Chicago in the seventh. Dodgers and the Twins are tied at 2 in Minnesota in the fourth inning. Diamondbacks and the Cardinals in St. Louis are scoreless in the sixth inning. Red Sox lead the Rockies 2-0 in Colorado in the second. We've got a couple of games yet to begin. Aside from this one, Orioles and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38. The A's and the Giants at 6:45 in San Francisco. And that is a quick full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have more on all those games coming up a little bit later during our post-game coverage. Well, as we said, Mike Yastrzemski in the lineup today for the Atlanta Braves playing right field. Yastrzemski spent 2019 to 2025 as a member of the Giants organization, many years as a significant part of that Giants team. Spent a little time with Kansas City last year and then signed with the Braves in the offseason. He was a 14th round pick back in 2013 out of Vanderbilt. And of course, Mike Yastrzemski, the grandson of MLB Hall of Famer, of Boston Red Sox great Carl Yastrzemski. So quite the baseball family. I caught up with Mike Yastrzemski inside the Braves clubhouse earlier today.
Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game against the Atlanta Braves. And right now we're joined by the Braves' Mike Yastrzemski. Mike, how would you sum up the season for yourself and the ball club so far?
It's been great for the club. You know, we've been winning a bunch of games, playing really good baseball. You know, it's been a up and down year for me, you know, trying to find some consistencies. But I'm really enjoying my time here, and it's been a blast.
Obviously, this team has played really well, entered this series with the best record in baseball. What stood out to you about this club? It's a similar group of guys that's been here. What stands out to you about the Atlanta Braves?
Just that production comes from everywhere. You know, we've got a really deep lineup. We've got a ton of different guys that are contributing. Our pitchers have been lights out. You know, it's been all the success has been come from all around. So it feels like it's just a very depthy group.
Mike, when you look at your career, you spent a lot of time with the Giants, came up with the Giants where you made your major league debut, had a big impact in San Francisco. Then last year have to transition a little bit. You show up to Atlanta. What's the process been like for you? I suppose sort of finding that next chapter of your career.
Yeah, just trying to just blend in, honestly, be part of the team and, help in any way possible, whether it be on the bases, out in the field, or at the plate, whatever is kind of clicking that day. And, just trying to keep the vibes high and positive in this clubhouse.
Mike, when I look at your career, you were not an overnight success story. You spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. You grinded your way to the major leagues and becoming a real good major league player. When you reflect on your journey to this point through the minors, through getting drafted, how do you sum up kind of what it took for you to get to this point?
Man, kind of like you said, just a lot of hard work and a lot of belief, just sticking with it. And there were a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and, just keeping that positive mentality throughout it all, knowing that something good is going to come from learning from all the struggles. I think that's something that guys, can really benefit from, especially when you spend enough time in the minor leagues, is if you struggle, you got to learn from it versus being defeated by it. So learning how to handle that and how to compose yourself and how to maintain, whatever it is that's going to keep you going.
You were drafted out of Vanderbilt. I was actually just talking earlier today with Walker Buehler, also a Vanderbilt guy. What was special about playing at Vandy and what that program does?
I think it just teaches you how to be a man, first of all. It teaches you that you've got to work for what you earn. You've got to learn to be a good person, to be a good teammate, how to survive in life versus just on the baseball field. And so I think that's part of what kept me going was the mental fortitude that I was, blessed to learn from Coach Corbin and all the staff at Vandy and all of my experiences there.
We're joined by the Braves' Mike Yastrzemski here on the Padres Radio Network before today's game. Mike, I know I'm not the first person to ask you about this. At what point of your life did you sort of realize who your grandpa was?
When I was young, probably when I was like 8 or 9, and people would always ask me how my grandfather was doing and how I was really confused by it for a while, because I wasn't asking people how their grandparents were unless there was something abruptly going on. But it was pretty early. And then I guess I really didn't understand like the magnitude of his career until I was probably, I think it was when I was 23, and I thought about my entire life. He had shown up to a major league clubhouse that entire length of time. And that kind of stopped me in my tracks and made me realize how impressive that is for sure.
How would you describe the impact he's had on your baseball career?
Yeah, it's been huge. I've had a lot of time and a lot of conversations with him, a lot of learning. And, but the most important thing that I felt like he allowed me to do is have my own career and, whatever path I was headed down, he was going to be supportive of, whether it was, if I was going to be a career minor leaguer, he was proud of that. If I was only going to play in college, he was proud of that. So there were cool things that happened along the way that, really alleviated a lot of the pressures that could have come with, having such a historic family member play baseball.
Mike, before I let you go, I want to ask you about one of your teammates, Matt Olson, because I think it's pretty remarkable. You just don't see guys play as consistently as Matt has over the course of the last handful of years. Being his teammate, being up close to it, what stands out about Matt Olson? Not just the performance, the numbers are great, but the consistency in just posting every day the way he does.
Yeah, he really is the same guy every day. And I know people like to say that about guys a lot, and that term probably gets overused, but he shows up the exact same way every single day. His routine is the same. He is so dialed into what he's doing and what he's trying to accomplish. And he's got a great baseball mind. He's a very smart hitter. He's a thinker, but he doesn't overthink, and it's been really, really fun to work with him.
Mike, great conversation, and we'll talk to you again down the road. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Thanks.
That was Mike Yastrzemski, Braves outfielder, earlier today inside the Braves clubhouse. And you heard the final question there about Matt Olson. Matt Olson has played more than 800 consecutive games, longest active streak in the major league. So pretty impressive there, and very good conversation with Mike Yastrzemski. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Keys to tonight's game. Key number one, don't let the Braves offense heat up. And if you have a good memory, you might remember that was my key number one last night. Still the key here today. The Braves are going through their real first rough patch of the season. They've lost 8 out of 11, and a big reason why, they're just not scoring much. Atlanta is averaging 3 runs per game and is batting 157 with runners in scoring position over this 11-game span. A couple of guys that are really struggling. Drake Baldwin is just 2 for 26 since returning from the IL with an oblique injury. We just talked about Matt Olson. Yeah, he's playing every day, but he's got a season-high 8 straight games without an extra base hit, and he enters today still tied for the second most extra base hits in the majors this season. So do not let this Braves offense get it going here in San Diego. That's key number one. Key number two, more Manny against the Braves. Manny Machado hitting .367 with 4 home runs, 13 RBIs in 17 games against Atlanta since the start of 2024, including the postseason. Padres have also had a ton of success against the Braves lately. They've won 13 of their last 17 meetings against Atlanta since the beginning of 2024. That includes the postseason later that year in 2024. And that's a quick look at a couple of keys to tonight's game. When we come back, we focus a little bit more on the Padres offense, plus a full breakdown of today's pitching matchup. J.R. Ritchie on the mound for the Braves, and the Padres will start opener Wandy Peralta, followed by Griffin Canning, who will take the bulk innings tonight. First pitch coming up at 6:40 right here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building. First pitch is coming up at 6:40, game 2 of this 3-game set against the Atlanta Braves. Let's tell you what to watch for here tonight.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for here tonight? What kind of approach do the Padres have in this game offensively? I bring it up because the Padres won yesterday's game by a score of 1-0. It's not like they had a big offensive night. They only had 4 hits, but they also walked 7 times. So do we see the Padres be very, very patient once again against this young right-hander on the mound for Atlanta, J.R. Ritchie, much like they were last night against right-hander Grant Holmes? What kind of approach do the Padres have offensively here tonight? That's what to watch for in today's game. Let's dive into tonight's pitching matchup.
Let's break down how today's starters are shaping up with our starting pitching preview. Brought to you by Harrah's Resort Southern California and the First Down Sports Bar in Funner, California. Don't just watch the match, experience the glory. Head to Funner for every World Cup match to enjoy stadium-level energy and amazing specials at the best sports bar in SoCal.
On the mound for Atlanta, right-hander J.R. Ritchie, a 22-year-old rookie. He's 1-2 with a 4.54 ERA and 7 outings this season, 35-plus innings, 30 strikeouts, 21 walks. Last start against the Giants, he went 5 innings, 5 earned runs given up, gave up 3 home runs. So that was a bit of a rough outing for Ritchie. Opponents are hitting only 133 against this curveball this season. Padres hitters are hitting 186 against curveballs this season. So how do the Padres hit that Ritchie curveball? Something to keep an eye on here tonight. Left-hander Wandy Peralta opening today's game for the Padres. He's 1-0 with a 1.91 ERA in 32 appearances this season. This will be his 3rd time as an opener in just the last 8 days. Both times it's gone well. A scoreless inning to begin the game in St. Louis and a scoreless inning to begin Sunday's game in Texas. Griffin Canning scheduled to get the bulk innings here today. He's 1-5 with a 6.64 ERA in 9 outings. His last outing against the Cardinals after the opener, 4 innings and a third, 1 earned run given up. He got the win in that series finale in St. Louis. The last time Canning saw the Braves was June 26th of last season. Unfortunately, that was when he tore his Achilles. So, we'll see how Canning does against the Braves here today. Obviously, a very good lineup, but they were shut out by the Padres last night. When we come back, we send things out to Jesse and Tony. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.